Good day, everyone. And now we're going to discuss the Silahis looking for the missing Filipino bisexual male, Michael L. Tan. For our introduction, Silahis looking for the missing Filipino bisexual male is an influential work by Filipino anthropologist and public intellectual Michael Tan. The book examines the existence and experiences of Filipino bisexual men, highlighting their often overlooked place within both Filipino culture and LGBTQ plus community. Our key themes first is bisexual invisibility, how Filipino bisexual males are marginalized within larger conversations on gender and sexuality. Next one is the fluidity of sexuality, challenges region Western definitions of sexuality, presenting a more nuanced understanding. And the third one is cultural perceptions, the intersection of Filipino culture, Catholicism, and masculinity with bisexual identities. First one is the cultural context. That situates bisexuality within the broader context of Filipino culture. He discusses how traditional gender roles, Catholic beliefs, and colonial history have influenced the understanding of bisexuality, making it difficult for Filipino men to openly express their sexual identities. Next one is bisexual invisibility. A major issue addressed in Tan's work is the concept of bisexual invisibility. Bisexual men are often erased in both straight and LGBTQ plus communities. Tan argues that this invisibility is a result of societal norms that favor clear labels and identities, making it harder for bisexual men to recognize. Next, fluidity of sexuality. Tan challenges the Western notion of rigid sexual categories. He emphasizes the fluidity of sexuality and the importance of considering cultural context. In the Filipino context, many men who engage in same sex behavior do not necessarily identify as gay or bisexual. Now let's move on to social and historical context. The Americans introduced the terms and Western based concepts of heterosexuality, homosexuality, and bisexuality. As in other Southeast Asian societies, male transgender categories on continue to dominate the public concept of homosexual. In Tagalog, the basis for the Filipino, the national language, the term used is bakla. The rise of gay consciousness in the West, particularly in the United States, has spilled over into countries such as Philippines. The bakla is distinguished from real men, tunay na lalaki. Conversely, the bakla is properly sexually attracted to real men and not to other bakla. The term homosexual and gay are now used in the Philippine language usually as synonyms for bakla. On the other hand, many middle-class Filipino men may identify as gay but not as bakla because the latter are seen as low-income, effeminate males. And now, the bakla and silahis. The bakla often a cross-dresser working as beautician or dresser designer. The bakla is distinguished from real men, tunay na lalaki. Conversely, the bakla is properly sexually attracted to these real men and not to other bakla. And the silahis, the Tagalog term that sometimes used as slang to refer loosely to bisexual. Now we have three: bisexual in public discourse. First, general public. Second, male sex workers. And the third one is bakla. First, we have perspective from the general public. The term silahis is used fairly mainly to refer to males who are attracted to both males and females, a definition clearly derived from Western biomedical and psychology texts. The popular perception of the Silahis is that he is not bakla. He may have sex with other men, but he is not effeminate, at least not publicly so. For example of this is Robert, who self-identifies as bakla and works in a large office. how his office mates began to speculate about what he was. He was not dating women, and there were too many phone calls coming in from men. The problem was that Robert was not effeminate. In conclusion, was that he probably was Silahis. Robert, who works in advertising, proposes a play on words Silahis when you can't be sure. Next one is perspective from male sex workers. The categories are quite consistent. We have bakla, silais, and matrona. Matrona refers to middle-aged women. The bakla is an effeminate person, and the silahis is the married client whose wife is away. Silahis for the male sex workers represent a configuration of attributes, ranging from movements of the wrist to body size to marital status. Next one, the perspective from the bakla. The silahis masculinity or his having a wife or girlfriend is a front. Nagpapalalaki, trying to be male. The bakla usage of bisexual is one of when you want to be sure, only slightly different from the public usage of silahis, coach in when you are not sure. The bakla, as I mentioned earlier, is constructed as being low income, thus an upper income man who has sex with men may distance himself from the bakla by calling himself silahis. Silahis and gender ideology. The bakla is a pre-colonial stable category foremost the feminine male. The Silahis defines the norms of heterosexual males grafted on the older concepts of real men as well as those of the bakla. Western definition of bisexuality center on sexual partner choice. Silahis may not even consider that choice. Now let's move on to sexual ideologies and Silahis. Michael Tan's analysis of sexual ideologies and Silahis underscored the importance of understanding how cultural, historical, and social factors influence sexuality. He argues for the need to move beyond rigid and conservative ideologies to embrace a more nuanced and inclusive view of sexual identities, especially in the Filipino concept. And in conclusion, Silahis, looking for the missing Filipino bisexual male, provides an important perspective on the complexity of bisexual identities in the Philippines. Mikael Tan's works call for greater recognition and understanding of the diverse expressions of sexuality that exist beyond Western frameworks with a focus on cultural sensitivity. That's all. Thank you.